deal with the DepEd.
Yes, Your Honor.
And please tell us about your present position in DepEd.
I've been the chief accountant since 20, 2010
Until now.
until now.
Until now. So
Chief of
you're aware of this liquidation report that was submitted by COA to this committee. And your name was affixed in this liquidation report. And you have a signature on this liquidation report.
Yes, sir.
So you're aware.
I am aware of the face copy of the liquidation report, but the supporting documents were not presented to me.
So it was not presented to you. You just signed it.
It was,
You're the chief accountant.
yes, sir, but it was just a formality that it should be covered by the liquidation report.
No, but supposedly you're the chief accountant. You have checked.
Katalan.
But per joint circular, sir, it was stated that the liquidation report plus the supporting documents shall be submitted by the disbursing officer direct to the ICPAO without any presentation to the chief accountant.
Yung ICPAO po, saan po department under yun?
COA, yung Intelligence and Audit Office ng Intelligence and Confidential Funds.
COA, do you confirm it?
CR break lang po si Attorney Camora, sir.
So, okay. I will wait for Atty. Zamora. So, ma'am, are you telling this committee na ministerial lang yung sa'yo?
Come again, sir.
Are you telling us na ministerial lang po kayo? Pumirma kayo dito without looking at the liquidation?
Honestly, yes, sir, I will say yes.
Oh, di may problema. Because if ever a case will be filed against
Against
dito po sa liquidation, na may problema,
yeah.
pumirma ka dito, di part ka ng case.
But then again, sir, under the joint circular, it was clearly stated that the documents and supporting documents to the liquidation report shall be directly submitted to the COA. And it means that it will not pass through the accounting.
Oh, GMC, COA, pakicheck nga, shall.
Mr. Chair, with the
Kung-
indulgence
Congressman
of
Acop, you're recognized.
Kay Camora.
Madam Accountant, mukhang mali yata. If you read the joint circular, there's a provision there. Teka, hanapin ko. Kasi may kopya ko noon eh. Nakalagay doon, under paragraph 4.16, in case of misuse of the intelligence or confidential fund, and depending on the participation in the transaction, the budget officer, chief accountant, the treasurer, and the project officer may likewise be held accountable with the special dispersing officer. So you can be accountable, madam. It's a provision of the joint circular.
But then again, Your Honors, per provision 6.1.8.4, it was stated that the supporting document should be submitted by the, no, it's not. So sorry, again. That,
Mali yung binabasa mo.
sir,
6.1.8.4?
my apologies, sir.
Oh, kasi mali eh.
Okay.
I have a copy of your circular here. Binabasa ko nga eh.
So it was under 6.2, the liquidation of the cash advance. It was stated under 6.2.2, all cash advances for CF and IF shall be liquidated within 30 days after every quarter and for from the approved date, target date of completion. Submission of the liquidation report duly signed by the head of agency or SDO, approved by the head of the agency, together with the supporting documents under Section 6.2.3 hereof and listed in the covering transmittal letter of the LR. This shall be submitted directly to the ICPAO in a sealed envelope with a visible label confidential for ICPAO only through any of the following: registered mail courier and authorized license officers. So under this provision, it was clearly stated or implied that the documents didn't pass through or were not reviewed by the accounting office.
So how do you reconcile that with paragraph 4.16? Sige nga. Kasi ni-excuse mo yung sarili mo because of a provision of the circular. But the same circular says that you can be accountable. How do you reconcile that?
It could be stated here, sir, but honestly, and as I didn't, it was not presented really to the accounting office, the supporting documents.
Hindi po yun ang tinatanong ko, madam. Ang tinatanong ko po, dinidepensa mo yung sarili mo using a provision of the circular, but the same circular states na ikaw ay accountable. How do you reconcile that? Kasi nasa akin yung kopya ng circular ninyo, ng COA eh.
Nalilito si Madam.
Kaya nga ako nag-intervene dahil ini-excuse mo yung sarili mo sa liability. Pero the circular says that you can be liable. Diba? Yeah. You read 4.16.
Yun lang.
Wala pa yung COA eh.
May we know from the representative of COA
Uh,
to be clarified as on the matter?
Your Honor, based on the documents from our confidential team, the liquidation report that was signed by Ms. Catalan, certified supporting documents complete and proper as the accounting unit. But then if looking at the joint circular, it's stated there that the liquidation report in Annex E should be signed by the SDO, the accounting unit or the SDO, meaning SDO Special Disbursing Officer who was given the cash advance of the confidential fund, the Special Disbursing Officer. So if she was not the SDO,
Ano po yung sinicertify ng accountant?
when she signed the liquidation report of the 37.5, certifying that the supporting documents complete and proper.
So paano po ninyo sasabihin na complete kung hindi naman niya nakita? Could you please clarify us? Paano niya sasabihin na complete ang isang dokumento kung hindi naman niya nakita yung loob?
Ms.
Parang
Catalan.
hindi po yata match.
Your Honor, it has to be Ms. Catalan who will answer such.
Ma'am, how can you certify something as complete and proper if you did not verify what is the content of the documents?
Sir, it is a standard procedure that every liquidation document should be covered by a signed
No, but
liquidation.
that is common sense eh.
Yes, sir. But
Paano po kayo magse-certify ng isang dokumento na complete and proper nang hindi nyo nakita? Hindi po ba kayo nagtaka na nagse-certify kayo ng isang dokumento na complete and proper pero hindi nyo naman nakikita yung laman ng loob?
Yun lang. Kasi hindi nila
unfortunately, that was the case, sir.
Did you bother to ask the legal department or the COA na bakit kailangan dumaan pa po sa inyo? Bakit nyo kailangan i-certify ang isang bagay na hindi ninyo ini-inspeksyon o tinitingnan?
It was one of the requirements, sir, and I was made to sign that document, unfortunately.
Chairman, ako rin I ask...
Congressman Paduano,
yes, thank you,
please
Chairman.
continue.
And I ask Ms. Catalan, yung tenure of office niya since 2010 pa. And I think they're doing it since then without checking the liquidation report. And ano na po, pumirma lang. But ma'am, eto ngayon nandito sa akin yung GMC, yung binasa mo is 4.2. Eto mama, yung 6.3.3. Ito specific mandate of each and every officials which covered by this GMC. Ito, 6.3.3. The agency accountant. It's you, ma'am. Tama? And look at 6.3.3D. Paragraph D. You are mandated to submit all disbursement vouchers for cash advance for intelligence and confidential activities / projects, with complete required supporting documents within 7 working days
7 working.
from release of the check. Oh,
Parang,
hindi mo pwedeng sabihin na you're not accountable. Hindi mo rin pwedeng sabihin na diretsong ibigay sa COA. Because malinaw po sa mandate mo that you have to submit disbursement vouchers, confidential activities and projects with complete required supporting documents. Oh, within 7 days.
Can I respond, Your Honor? The 6.1.8.4 pertains to the pre-audit of the cash advance.
I'm telling about no. That is not 6.8.4. I'm saying about the 6.3.3B.
6.3.
Inconsistent with the provision that was read by Chairman Akop.
ano ba naman si Kong
Your
Padba?
mandate. Anyway, Mr. Chairman, it is on record that that the chief accountant of the DepEd never bothered to check the liquidation report. He just signed it without looking at the details of such report. And it is on record, Mr. Chairman.
May I respond, Your Honor? This is the first time that we have encountered cash advances for confidential fund. But for the regular cash advances for regular funds, we always ensure that the documents attached to the liquidation of the cash advances were complete. But again, for this, this is the first time that we have encountered these cash advances for confidential fund. And the procedure seems quite different, actually, and honestly.
But of course, you have the joint memorandum circular,
sila
and there is a provision with regards to
Nag-create sila
the mandate of the chief accountant, the STO, and all other officials of agency. Malinaw po yun, ma'am. So, I think once again, Mr. Chairman, it's like to put on record na inamin po ng chief accountant ng DepEd na she never bothered to check the authenticity, the correctness of such liquidation report, Mr. Chairman.
Sir,
Excuse me, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am, please.
May I correct the word "not bothered"? That I did not bother to check the completeness of the documents. During that time, no matter how, maybe this is the first time ngayon may cash advance ng confidential fund, but I was made to sign it. So,
You were made to sign it by whom?
because because it is a requirement that the liquidation should be covered by the liquidation voucher.
But that is, ma'am, that is your mandate. And
Yes.
your statement that you signed it without looking at the details, di ba? And that is on record.
Yes, sir, it was,
O ano ngayon yung gusto mong i-explain?
sir, I'm trying to explain that it was stated sa joint circular that it seems or implied that the documents, supporting documents, should be directly submitted to COA in sealed envelope.
And that is your interpretation, ma'am, that we have read the GMC.
Yes, sir.
O now, what?
Si
Are you telling this representation that I'm wrong? And Chairman Akop?
No, sir, my apologies if you have misinterpreted what I'm trying to explain.
No, I did not misinterpreted you. You're telling me that my statement is not correct.
No, sir, I'm not saying, I'm sorry po, I'm sorry, Your Honor, but I'm trying to explain on why I signed that liquidation.
Oh, tell you to sign the document.
Ahat na naman si pad. kung
Are you
pad-
forced to sign the document?
Not really forced, but I was
But not really.
requested to sign the document.
Or you signed the document, but you never bothered to read this mandate of yours?
Sinabi nga niya, she did not.
Ma'am, who ordered you to sign the document?
Oo, kas advance.
Who ordered you to sign the document?
Not really ordered, but I was requested by,
Yes, who requested you to sign the document?
by ASEC Shine Paharda.
Sino po?
Si Assistant Secretary Shine Paharda.
Sunshine Fajarda.
Hat kasi si ano nagagalit ka agad. Ano ba yan? Baka gusto niya i-contempt na naman. Wala, naiiyak mo.
ASIC, sa anong department po?
Department of Education po.
Ano, a specific na ano niya, position?
Office ng Secretary.
The office of the secretary. But he was not the signatory of this document, di ba? Only her husband. Tama?
It was,
Edward Farda signed it. BP signed it and you signed it. But you were requested by Ms. Farda?
yes, sir.
Oh, Mr. Chairman, all the more that we have to, Ms. Sunshine Farda should be present in the next hearing. Para po patutunahanan yung statement ni Ms. Catalan. Sabihin na natin, you were requested to sign it. So why did you sign it? As per request of Ms. Farda?
Yes, Your Honor, because it is needed as a covering letter or covering document to the liquidation documents, supporting documents.
Oo nga, pero sabi ko na nga, kaya nga statement ko kanina, you don't even bother to check. Pumirma ka lang. Di ba? No, it's either it's your lapse or you were forced to sign it without checking all those liquidation report. Di ba, ma'am?
Yes, Your Honor.
O, ano bang tama? Nagkamali ka lang? Nakaligtaan mo i-check? Or you were forced to sign it without checking the liquidation report?
It's hindi po nakaligtaan, but it is a needed document in the submission of the liquidation.
Of course, I know it. It is needed, you have to sign it. But ang question is, siyempre accountable ka, ma'am, because of your mandate and your position, di ba? Now, sabi ko na, nakaligtaan mo or you were forced?
I was requested, sir.
Hindi nga. Saan ba? Nakaligtaan mo or you were requested? You were requested na firmahan ka agad without checking the liquidation report?
Yes, sir.
O, di, Mr. Chairman, again, kung anong word gamitin, requested ba o she was forced to sign it without checking the liquidation report, ganun pa rin yun. Di ba? Ganun pa rin yun.
Ma'am, meron po akong isang tanong. Nakakatanggap po ba kayo ng envelope kay ASEC Paharda? Yung totoo po, ma'am. Remember, you are under oath. Aside from your allowance, from your regular budget, nakakatanggap po ba kayo ng envelope just like Yusek Mercado and Director Osias from ASEC Paharda.
Yes, sir.
Ay, so,
Magkakano?
Minimal amount lang po.
Which is how much po?
grabe.
It's not
50,000.
even, ano,
Magkano po?
50K?
it's 25,000.
25,000.
Oh,
How many times po?
every month.
If you could recall.
3,
My gosh.
9?
Ilan?
9 times.
9 times. From what month up to what month?
Ni Mercado.
Let me guess. From February to September?
I think so, sir.
So, nung September po,
lahat
tumigil
sila.
na.
May
Yes,
padulas.
Your Honor.
Just like Yusek Mercado. Tama po ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, thank you po.
Oh.
Mr. Chairman, lastly, I'd just like to manifest, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, can I, last
Yes.
na lang po. Ma'am, actually, ma'am, talagang naawa din ako sa inyo. Kasi,
Tawa sila talaga.
tingnan mo,
Oh.
accountable ka dito. Eh, sabi mo kanina, ni-request ka. Pero, ang labas pa rin, ganun eh. You were requested, but, tapos,
Ay,
medyo kalakaran na may lagayan sa loob. Kaya nga ako, ma'am, I want to just express my sympathy to you. Naawa talaga kami sa inyo. Napipilitan kayong permahan yung isang bagay na hindi tama.
oo.
Ngayon kung may kaso, pag lumabas yung NDA, yung finality nun,
Kulong sila.
tatamaan kayo dyan. Ano process? Ako, Mr. Chairman, sabi ko nga, naawa lang ako dito sa mga officials ng DepEd. Pag ganito yung kalakaran. Ngayon, 2 na.
Oo.
Baka sunod, hindi lang 2. Di ba? Kaya, Mr. Chairman, at least ngayon, umamin na si ma'am, tama na ako. Okay na ako, Chairman. Thank you.
Kawawa sila.
Mr. Chairman.
Nadadaan
Yes.
sila. Ay,
Senior
nako.
Deputy Speaker, Dong Gonzales, you're recognized.
Ma'am, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to address my question to Ms. Catalan, ma'am, the accountant. Ma'am, Mr. Chairman, siguradong dumaan sa iyo itong check na to, di ba? You're the accountant. Yung 37.5 million. Tama ho ba?
Your Honor, hindi po dumaan sa akin yung cheque kasi ang napadala po sa amin ay voucher.
Tama.
It would,
Meaning to say, the voucher is the basis sa preparasyon ng check, di ba?
yes, Your
And
Honor.
definitely, there is a date put in the voucher and they will follow that date in preparing the check. So the check was signed by, of course, Yusek Sevilla and Yusek Mercado. Ang napansin ko lang po dito, in your recollection, 2023 yung isang check that was February 20, 2023. That's number 1 check for the 37.5. Number 2 check, I thought this is quarterly. Ang date po ng check is April 19, 2023. It falls down to 1 quarter. Isang quarter lang po yung 2 check na issue. Ang pangatlong na check na issue po ng November 23, 2023. At hindi po, na-issue po pala yung pangatlong check is July 11, 2023. In your recollection, tama ho ba itong check and based on your obligation, on your voucher during the processes of the vouchers into check?
Parang tama po, Your Honor.
Tama. So, tama ho ba yung tanong ko na per quarter at 2 check po yung ginawa niyong 37.5 in 1 quarter? Tama ho ba?
No, Your Honor. Per quarter po siya.
Per quarter is February.
February for the first quarter, and then yung April for the second quarter, and then yung July for the third quarter.
So, tama ho ba?
Grabe ang
Okay.
kurap.
So, that is equivalent to 37.5 times 3. That is equivalent to 112.5 million. Number 2 question po. Itong 125 million under Gina Acosta, ang date po ng check na is July 13, 2023. Halos nagkasabay lang po yung July 11 ng DepEd at saka yung July 13 ng OVP. Ang OVP is 125 million and the DepEd is 37.5 million. Kaya ang tinatanong ko po, wala na po yung land bank, umalis na? Umalis na po yung land bank?
Kawawa naman.
So,
Ay, nag-iisip
meaning to
ako.
say, ang July 11 at saka yung July 13, ang na-withdraw po is 37.5 million at saka yung 125 million. Tama ho ba sa, ay, hindi po kayo OVP pala, DepEd kayo. May OVP ba dito? OVP? Sa management, po. Wala. Kasi kung tignan mo itong dalawang cheque, isang mukha lang po to 2 days lang po ang diferensya. July 11 and July 20, 2023 of the amount of 37.5 and 125 million. Kaya tinatanong ko po sana yung land bank, kaso wala na. Next hearing ko na lang po, Mr. Chairman, tanungin. Kasi tatanungin ko siya kung paano niya na-withdraw itong 3 cheque at saka itong 125 million. So, Your Honor, Mr. Chairman, yun lang po. Maraming salamat.
Thank you, SDS.
Chairman. Interject
Yes, Congressman Lara, please.
Yes, yung tanong chairman ni SDS Dong para sa OVP. I think nandito si Attorney Puga, baka pwede niyang sagutin yung tanong ni DS Dong.
Mr. Chair?
Yes,
if I may
nandito
be-
ang OVP, former din naman.
Mr. Chair, if I may be recognized. Wala pa po kasi ako sa OVP nung 2023. I was with DepEd at that time, sir. So, I really wouldn't know kung ano yung nangyari dyan.
Ano po kasi dating nakita ko lang po itong cheque
Opo.
na yung date kasi halos magkapareho po yung date.
Yeah, opo.
So July 11, 2023, yung last check na 37.5 at saka July 13, 2023, yung 125 million.
Opo.
So meaning to say,
Malapit.
summation of that two equivalents to sum.
Yes, sir.
Yun po yung sinasabi.
But yun po. Unfortunately, sir, I got out of DepEd nung nag-resign si VP, which was already July 2024.
Andito pala yung land bank. Ma'am, sorry na.
Diyan na po yung land bank. SDS.
Sorry ma'am, nakabalik kayo, di ba? Magtatanong ko lang sana kung itong Edward Paharda, kasi po ako nagtanong to last hearing, di ba yung cheque, papayingkas, ikaw yung branch manager, di ba? Pag ipapayingkas po yung cheque, nakaprepare yung pera, bigay mo sa counter. Pag binigay mo yung pera sa counter, may papipirma po kayo sa kanya, di ba? Yung receive the amount of this, and sa likod ng cheque, pipirma pa po si Mr. Paharda. Tama ho ba?
Yes, sir. The client will sign as acknowledgement na
And at the back of the
na-receive
check,
niya yung check. The cash.
the cash. So pwede nyo kaming bigyan nung receiving copy, nung 3 receiving copy from Land Bank, yung 37.5 million.
We will check our records.
Yes, ma'am.
sir.
Thank you. Tapos ma'am, number 2, itong kay Gina Acosta na 125 million, sabi nyo kanina sa Show Boulevard po to, pinahingkas. Pwede po yung sino nag-receive nitong July 13, 2023 na pinahingkas po niya yung 125 million. At yung July 11 na pinahingkas naman ni Edward Parda under your branch. Para ipagsusog lang po natin yung dalawang cheque. Pwede ba?
We will check our records.
Thank you,
sir.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to ask the question to Ms. Catalan. Do you realize your accountability on this and consequence of what you did, Ms. Catalan?
Yes, Your Honor.
I would like to ask once again,
Nila ni-expect na
were
may...
you requested or were you pressured?
Grabe.
I was requested, sir.
You were requested. You were not pressured at all. Come on, tell us the truth here.
I was requested, sir, in a nice way.
Thing is this, you received an envelope 9 times, am I right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that not a form of pressure?
Honestly, sir, the first time I met or I talked with,
Have you ever asked, why are you being given an envelope?
yes, sir, I asked her, but
What was the answer?
it's just an allowance from the vice president.
Was
It
that?
was just
Allowance.
an allowance from the vice president.
Allowance from the
Actually, I
Is
asked
that
allowance.
liquidated, or is that recorded, or is just given to you? Because it's a bit different when you say allowance and it's just an envelope given to you. Am I right?
Sir, the first time I received it, I honestly asked Shine, Ma'am, is it part of the confidential fund? Sabi niya, no. It was just an allowance from the vice president. So, for me, honestly, I received it knowing na it
Okay.
was not part of the
Who gave
confidential
you
fund.
who gave you the envelope?
ASEC, Sunshine Fajarda.
Who requested you to sign the accounting report?
It was also ASEC Shine Fajarda.
Therefore, if it was Asek Fajarda who requested you, as you said, to sign, and she is also the one that gave you the envelopes, would you not think that it's a form of pressure on your part?
Ah,
Come on, but please tell us the truth here. Because look, uh, I think you know what I mean, isn't it?
Siyempre may
I
patulad
do not think that you are going to receive envelopes from the same person that requested you without you realizing the pressure of signing it. Miss
sir,
Catalan.
Your Honor, at the first giving of the envelope, I honestly and asked ASIC Shine if it is part of the confidential fund. Sabi niya, hindi, this is just an allowance from the secretary. So I trusted her word for that. And without any thinking, na it was really part of the confidential fund, honestly on my part. So I received it honestly on my part without any, it was part of the confidential fund.
I am saying this to you because alam mo, talagang uh, na, and my heart goes out to you, Miss Catalan. You know, I think it would be best that in your own heart, you have been pressured because you received the envelopes. They're not only being requested. You have been pressured because you received envelopes thinking that they are just allowances, but you know it is never recorded. It is not part of the budget that was given to the OVP or the Department of Education. It's not part. Did you sign a voucher for it?
No, Your Honor.
See? I mean,
at least kasi kung walang
so what I'm saying is this. Those 9 envelopes you received is a form of pressure on your part
it's a
or on
broad
the part of the same person that asked you to sign. Miss Catalan. Am I right? Yes or no? No. Yes or no?
Maybe, Your Honor.
No, there's not maybe.
maybe
It's yes, isn't it? Am I right?
Maybe, Your Honor.
Am I pressuring you now? Am I pressuring you now?
yes.
I'm so nervous right now, Your Honor.
And
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
The chair would like
Mr.
to
Chairman.
recognize the presence of the Honorable Jude Asidre, the Deputy Majority Leader from Tingog Party List.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
this
Congressman
will be my
Paduano.
last manifestation, Mr. Chairman. Just I want to put in the record that in today's hearing, Ms. Catalan, the head accountant, chief accountant of DepEd, admitted that indeed he was, as the term being used by her is being requested to sign, but of course, tumanggap din po ng extra si Ms. Catalan. Now, but in the previous hearing, Mr. Chairman, I just want to put in record that it is not only Catalan na tumanggap ng ang sobre. Attorney Restio Wases, Osias also admitted. Now, even Attorney Michael Wesley Poa, nandito ngayon, admitted also, but that was December, only December. But he still admitted that he received some amount from the Vice President. And of course, Miss Gloria Jumamil also, Mercado. Si Ma'am, bit-bit niya pa yung mga sobre, no? Yung original na mga sobre. At nandito ngayon, no? In possession natin. And of course, lahat na to is galing from Miss Sunshine Farda na heya ni BP at the same time asawa nung SDO ng Office of the Vice President in relation to confidential fund. So as of now, apat na po ng mga officials ng Vice President na umamin na tumatanggap po ng sobre galing sa Vice President. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all.
Mr. Chair.
Congressman Sia Alonso.
I yield to the senior.
Yes,
I just have a few
with the
questions, but I yield to
indulgence of, Congressman
but I yield
Sia,
to Chairman.
The chair would like to recognize Congressman Ako.
Thank you. Madam Catalan, dadagdagan ko yung pagka-nervyos mo. Nag-iisip lang ako dun sa sinabi mo na noong binigyan ka ng unang sobre, sinabi mo kagad, ang tanong mo kagad galing ba ito sa confidential fund? Tama po ba yung pagkarinig ko?
Yes, Your Honor.
Bakit ganun ang tanong mo?
Because honestly, I'm wondering ba't ako bibigyan? And during...
Ngayon,
It was after
honestly,
the-
nagtanong ka kung bakit ka binibigyan. Ano ang sagot doon sa tanong mo na yun?
But I was made to understand by ASEC China, it is an allowance from the secretary.
Kayo po ay accountant, di po ba?
Yes,
Matanong
sure.
ko po kayo, saan po nanggaling na pondo, ang source of fund, nung allowance na binigay sa inyo?
Well, I didn't have the
Opportunity to ask.
the courage to ask for that
Uy,
anymore.
tinanong mo, you had the courage to ask, galing ba ito sa confidential fund? Tapos you did not have the courage to ask, saan galing yan kung hindi galing sa confidential fund? Di po ba?
Sure, Honor.
Di ba may lakas kang loob na tanungin, galing ba ito sa confidential fund? Pero hindi mo tinanong nung sinabi niya, hindi galing sa confidential fund yan. Saan galing? Di ba dapat yun ang sunod na tanong? Following your line of questioning.
Yes. So, saan galing?
Kasi, madam, it is irrelevant whether you're aware of what you have signed or not. Kasi under the circular, you can be also liable.
Oo.
You cannot escape that kasi sa dami ng inimbestigahan ko, basta nakikita yung signature na nandun yung signature, papailang ka ng kaso ng investigador. Di ba? Kaya nagkukuhan ako dun sa kwan You were brave enough to ask kung galing sa confidential fund. Kasi nasa isip mo na dun sa pinirmahan mo, dun manggagaling yung pondo na binibigay sa iyo as an allowance. Di ba? Yun na napasok sa isip mo na binigyan ka ng allowance sa pagpirma mo dahil sa confidential fund, sa pag-clear o liquidate ng confidential fund. Di ba, Iha?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes. And you didn't know that because of your signature, pwede kang lumubog. Tama? Iha?
Yes, Your Honor.
Sige. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank
Mr.
you.
Chair, with the indulgence of Congressman Adjong, in
Congressman
relation to
Abante,
what
you are recognized.
Congressman Akop said, I remember some years ago, Mr. Chair, that when the Vice President was still in the DepEd, that there is a rule that she made, no gift policy. Am I right, Attorney Poa?
Yes, Your Honor. That is correct, Your Honor.
That's the rule. No gift policy. Do you remember that, Ms. Catalan?
Yes, Your Honor.
So why is she giving envelopes? If the rule in her office is no gift policy. Therefore, even the Vice President would think that whenever a gift is given, that's bribery. That is subtle bribery. Ms. Catalan.
Maybe.
Not maybe.
Maybe.
Sabi mo sa akin, no gift policy. So therefore, if the Vice President
Walang lusot si
said that there is no gift policy, therefore she is trying to avoid any kind of a bribery or a corruption in his part. Attorney Powa, can you please? Do you believe that?
Well, yes, I do believe that, Your Honor, because even as OSEC, when I was in OSEC, no gifts talaga kami from anyone. No gifts. No gift policy was in place.
So, nakita niyo yung answer ng dating spokesperson ni Vice President, am I right? That's the reason why I'm asking you if you are pressured. Siguro kinakailangan, sabihin mo na rito sa amin, you were pressured because of the allowances given to you. Oo. Hindi nyo na kinakailangan pagtakpan pa yung nagbigay sa iyo eh. Ikaw, Miss Catalan, ikaw po ang accountable dito. Ikaw ang kawawa dito. You do not even need to protect those that gave to you the envelopes. Because the fact is this,
5,000
when the rule in the Vice President's office is no gift policy, she would think that to be corruption. Oh, therefore, yung pagbigay ng allowance sa iyo is actually subtle bribery. Hindi po ba?
But according kasi kay Attorney Shine during that time, it came from the secretary and who was really just maybe he was just grateful dun sa performance namin. So I considered it
What kind
not
of
really a
performance?
form of bribery.
Walang question.
Or I was not pressured to sign the liquidation voucher, but I was
Ang
requested
galing-galing
to
mo,
sign it,
pirma
sir.
agad. O ito, bonus mo.
I'm not going to,
Vice President.
in any way try to convince you otherwise, Ms. Catalan. What I'm just trying to say is when the rule of the Vice President is no gift policy. In fact, hindi nga siya tumatanggap ng gift sa amin eh, kahit nabigyan namin siya eh. Hindi siya tumatanggap eh. Ngayon, kung siya mismo hindi tumatanggap, pa siya nagbibigay sa inyo? As a form of gratitude. That's your duty, Ms. Catalan.
Yeah.
Whether there is no envelope given as a form of gratitude, it's your duty to do your job. Am I right?
Yes, Your Honor.
That's what I'm saying. Mr.
Congressman Sia, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just like to do some follow-ups on the questions of Chairman. Ms. Catalan, I'd like to know, I think this has already been asked of you, pero like to know, how long have you been working in DepEd?
I've been with the department for almost 36 years, sir.
Wow.
36 years. Accountant, no? Familiar
Kawawa
naman po
naman.
kayo sa
36
trabaho
years
ninyo for
tapos
the
dahil
past
sa
3 decades. Alam niyo po yung
ginawa ng
differences
ano,
between incentives,
pagtanggap doon sa
bonuses,
binigay ni
allowances, hindi ho ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
pagbigay ni
And when you
PPP,
say uh,
allowance, matatanggap.
bonuses and all of these categories, meron pinagkukunan po ng pondo dyan, di ba? Nakalaan naman po yan. No?
Yes, Your Honor.
Can you enlighten me po, because according to your responses, you treat this regular, I don't know how to label it, but as a gift, no? Just for for the lack of a better term, kasi hindi mo po ma-pinpoint kung saan talaga galing yon. Pwede niyo po sabihin, clarify sa amin kung based on your experience, kasi alam naman po natin may mga bonuses yan, eh, di ba? Sa mga regular employees. In fact, before the end of this year, mayroon talagang bonus packages yan binibigay. And mayroon namang incentives, no? Can you at least distinguish based on your work job description on how you appreciate the differences of this? Pag sinabi mo pong allowance, saan regular na kinukuha na pondo yan?
Hoy, boy.
Normally, sir, pag regular po siya at saka yung normal siya sa appropriation or standard sa appropriation sa personal services ng agency.
Okay, sa personal services. Pag sinabi niyo pong mga incentives dun sa mga empleyado, because I believe there are also some employees who have, gone beyond what is expected of them, exemplary yung kanilang mga tinatrabaho, kaya nabibigyan sila ng incentives noon. Meron din ho kayong ganyan at saan po nakukuha din ho yan na category?
Sa DepEd, there was no line
Wala
item
po.
for incentives.
Walang incentives. So what about bonuses po?
Bonuses meron po, sir, sa personal services po
Sa
siya.
personal services, okay. So these allowances and these bonuses are regular funding.
Yes.
Tama po
Yes,
ba?
sir.
O, kasi
Yes,
alam
Your
niyo po
Honor.
pinagkukunan. So would you say po itong experience niyo for the past 36 years, has there any instance where a former or previous secretary have also done similar gifts or allowances, as you may call it, prior to the one that is now, but prior to the incumbency of then Secretary Duterte?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. So would it be safe to assume, Mr. Chair, that this is something irregular? Kasi ang sabi niyo po, both the allowances and as well as yung mga bonuses are regular fundings. There are line items under your budget kasi accountant kayo at doon nakukuha. So it's a regular funding, no? According to you, there has never been for the past 3 decades of your work, your stay in DepEd, there has never been any instance where there's an administrative policy of your department that says pwede kayong magbigay regularly ng mga sobre sa mga empleyado. So that's sometimes something irregular, hindi ho ba?
Sir, I was made to understand that the allowance came from
But
the
you have
secretary
but you have
personally.
already described to us that the appreciation of allowances is actually based on irregular funding that is allotted to. So what else can you describe that kind of pabuya halimbawa o pagbibigay sa inyo? Since according to you hindi naman siya nagpo-fall as an allowance.
I was made to understand that it came from her personally.
Yeah.
Personal money niya. I was made to understand that it came from the personal money of the secretary.
Okay, so was there any instance, for example, na sabi nga ni Manong Romy kanina, what made you first ask si attorney na ito ba'y galing sa confidential funds, hindi ho ba? That's your initial eh. Ibig sabihin, you already had a prejudgment that this may come from the confidential funds. And then later on, you were made to believe, according to you, that it's come from the budget of the OVP. budget, personal budget of the OVP. Sa inyo po bang palagay? I'm just asking you now, not as a consultant, but as a regular, average-minded person. Sa inyo palagay, kaya ho ba yun ng isang tao nang magbigay ng ganung regularly ng amount based ho doon sa sitwasyon nung nagbibigay? In this case, Secretary, just your
Sa akin, sir, kasi kaya naman niya kasi malaki naman sweldo ng secretary.
okay, so ang palagay niyo doon doon sa inyo napupunta yung kanyang sa palagay niyo yon.
Yun, sir, honestly. Yun ang palagay ko. Kaya I was made to understand na it came from the personal money of the secretary.
Okay, so gusto ko lang pong malaman na Ms. Catalan, how often did you receive these funds? I mean, this
Monthly.
monthly. So ilang months po kayo nag-receive ng ano?
February to
So when did it start? When did it start? Kasi sinabi niyo confidential fund. When did it start? When the confidential fund was requested? When was the confidential fund requested again?
the first issuance of the confidential fund was around February
So when did you receive the allowance?
after the release of the cash. Of the
Okay, so
check.
that made you think
Yes,
that it's a confidential.
yes.
But prior to the confidential fund, you were never received any.
No, Your Honor.
Okay, so hindi mo masasabi na galing personal money niya yon.
Again, I trusted.
Yeah, but you said, Ms. Catalan, that you made to understand that it was malaki naman ng sweldo niya. So bakit nung umupo siya, hindi na siya nag-start magbigay? Bakit nag-start siya magbigay nung first na na-release na rin yung confidential funds? I think that's what made you think that it's part of the confidential funds. Again, Mr. Chair, just a manifestation na sabi nga, it's something irregular. It does not happen, no? In the previous, it did not happen prior to the release or request of the confidential funds. That would be all, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair,
Congressman Nabante.
nakatanggap po kayo ng 9 envelopes na nagkakahalaga ng 25,000 each, di ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
That would be around almost 250,000.
No, to 25.
Kung 10 yan,
225.
225,000. So alam niyo po, that is 225,000 in all. Alam niyo yon.
Yes, Your Honor.
And kailan po natapos yon? Na pagbibigay?
September po.
September of last year?
2023, Your Honor.
September of 2010.
2023. Your Honor.
2023. Oo. Kailan po natapos ang pag-release ng confidential fund?
Third quarter, Your Honor.
Ng
I cannot-
2023.
July po yung release ng check for the third quarter.
Of 2023,
Yes, sir,
correct?
Your Honor.
Oo. So hindi pa kayo nakahalata na that's part of the of your responsibility of signing. Yun nakukuha niyo yung allowances. Remember, ha? Tingnan nyo, maigi. 225,000. Alam nyo, pinilang nyo. You counted it. Sa yun lang po.
Your Honor, may I be recognized? Committee Secretary, Your Honor.
Comsec, you're recognized.
Your Honor, we would like to recognize the presence of the Honorable Lord Dan G. Suan from the 1st District of Cagayan de Oro. Welcome, Your Honor.
Congressman
Mr. Chair.
Isidre.
Mr. Chair, gusto ko lang
Yes,
pong
Congressman
itanong
Isidre, you're recognized.
Mr. Chair, gusto ko lang balikan yung sinabi kanina ni Ms. Catalan na yung paniniwala po niya, yung pera na ibinigay sa kanya nanggaling po sa sweldo ng dating sekretary. Tama po ba?
Personal money po niya, Your Honor.
Pero narinig ko kanina sweldo, di ba?
Tinanong kasi kung naniniwala ako na kaya. Sabi ko naman, kasi malaki naman sweldo niya.
Pero for the record lang, may sweldo ba si VP Sara as Secretary of Education?
Wala, Your Honor. Nasa OVP siya.
Yun lang po.
Wala na.
Mr. Chair,
Please continue.
pwede po bang maitanong kay Yusek Mimpin po? Pwede po bang ma-request na sumagot ng tanong si Yusek Mimpin?
Yusek Mempin.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Thank you po, Yusek, Mr. Chair. Yusek Mimpin, Mr. Chair, ano po yung designation ninyo ulit sa DepEd?
Former USEC for admin po.
Pero ngayon hindi na po kayo Yusek for...
No more, sir.
Kailan po kayo na-appoint at kailan po natapos?
I was appointed as USEC June 21, 2023, sir.
June 21,
23 po, sir.
2023 at natapos po?
July 19, the effectivity of the resignation of the Vice President as Secretary of DepEd, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, curious lang po ako kasi I sit po in the MSGC ng Armed Forces of the Philippines. At ako po'y medyo curious sa situation na isang dating militar po ay ma-appoint po sa Department of Education. Is there any circumstance leading to your appointment? Parang, paano kaya na-consider? Sa tingin niyo po ba trust and confidence ang rason bakit kayo na-appoint as Undersecretary?
Yes, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
So, ibig sabihin, matagal niyo na akong kilala, Mr. Chair, si dating Secretary, si Vice President Sara Duterte?
That's correct, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
Kailan po kaya, Mr. Chair, ninyo naging kilala si VP Sara?
When I was designated as the commander of Task Force Davao in 2017, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
So, na-appoint po kayo sa Davao?
Yes, sir.
Sa
as
Task
the-
Force Davao po, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Your Honor.
Tanong ko lang po, Mr. Chair, paano po nakatulong yung experience nyo bilang military person sa DepEd po? Sa inyong trabaho sa DepEd, Mr. Chair?
Your Honor, Mr. Chair, I do believe our leadership and management style was the basis because actually I was designated USEC for admin and not on more on the education like the curriculum and teaching strand. So when I was recruited, I accepted the offer of the Vice President and former Secretary, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Chair, sa malamang sa hindi po, naging kasama din po kayo sa pagbalangkas o di kaya sa pag-monitor yung mga activities regarding insurgency, recruitment ng mga grupo dun sa DepEd, sa mga estudyante o di kaya sa mga teacher?
No, sir, because when I was actually as Congresswoman Wistro, during the last hearing, I was also prior to my designation as USEC for admin, I was recruited first as consultant because I just retired from the military service January 28 of 2023, and most of the commanders or the field unit commanders are my colleagues. So that's, I do believe, the advantage that I have in terms of collaboration with the security sector, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Chair, would you, with Yusek Mimpin, categorically say na you had no participation whatsoever in all these activities related to intelligence operations within the Department of Education?
Yes, Your Honor, because there's no, in the mandate of the USEC Board Administration, there's no tasking or function about coordination with other agency. I do believe it's the purview of the operational strand because they are the one directly supervising the divisions and districts and even down to the school, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
Naitanong ko po to, Mr. Chair, kasi kung titignan natin, hindi ho birong halaga ang itinilaga ng DepEd, Mr. Chair, sa mga confidential activities, lalo na itong mga purchase of information. Since you mentioned that you were working with the divisions and the regions, Mr. Chair, ang tanong ko lang po, may data po kaya from the regional or division offices on the recruitment of students or teachers by subversive organizations?
Personally, sir, I do not have the information, but as the armed forces have some based on their intelligence report, they do have some data on recruitment, but to the specific, I don't have the information, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
But on its own, the DepEd, did they undertake any investigation or study in order to establish for a fact, even as to the extent of the prevalence of subversive organizations within the department or within the school system?
I was not aware if there's any study made prior or up to now because it's the purview of the operations. Maybe the USEC for operation could give us answer your question, Mr. Chair, Your Honor.
Mr. Chair, baka pwede pong sagutin ni USEC po. Meron kayang study na ginawa ang DepEd na mag-i-establish po to the extent ng prevalence nitong mga subversive organizations within the school system?
Yung sa personal knowledge ko po, meron pong mga collaboration no at that time when I was there with NICA, NTFL, CAC. I got for a previous budget hearing wherein I mentioned nga na there were X number of schools in Metro Manila with recruitment. I believe the information actually came from NICA and CR. But with yung talagang operationalizing yung pag-check kung saan may recruitment, wala po akong personal knowledge. I was actually looking at USEC RevC, so she's the USEC for operations to check no kung meron siyang knowledge on that.
Pwede pa natin tanungin si USEC RevC kung meron.
Sorry, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, Your Honors.
Yusek, then what's your name again?
Yusek RevC Escobedo.
You're recognized.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. Your Honors, with regard po regarding sa data, kami po ay nakikipag collaborate and ask for some data with NTFL, CAC, and NICA because with regard dun sa pangangalap ng data about these organizations above ground and underground, wala po kaming capability and competence to do that.
So there is no way that DepEd would have the competence, Mr. Chair, to gather the data, to ensure its accuracy, or even establish its relevance. They were totally dependent on the information provided by NICA and LTF-LCAC.
Yes, Your Honor.
So if that's the case, Mr. Chair, what's the basis for having appropriated this big amount of money when there is no way that the department will establish it internally? Diba? Yun ang tanong ko, Mr. Chair. Paano po nakapag-desisyon ang Departamento ng Edukasyon na maglaan ng ganitong kalaking amount ni wala namang pamamaraan internally ang Department of Education to understand or to establish lang naman the extent of subversive activities? Kasi kung wala pong ganong basihan at ang information lang ho ay nanggaling sa NICA at sa LCAC, di ba dapat mas tama na sila na rin din ang lagyan ng pondo kaysa sa Department of Education, Mr. Chair? Yusek Minpin?
Uh, may I elaborate? Actually, the Department of Education, as the trust of former Secretary, the protection of children, that's why there's a collaboration between security sector, meaning the armed forces, the Philippine National Police, wherein they conducted information education campaign, and also the wireless, and even the campaigns against drug, because for example, nabanggit na po kanina yung conduct of wireless. Sa wireless po kasi is a program of
Mr.
the...
Chair, I'll cut you there, sir. There is no question about fighting insurgency. There is no question against responding to all these threats. But the thing is, there must have been a measurable way of determining ganito ang kailangan naming amount kasi ganito nakalaki ang problema. Ang tanong, meron bang ganyang ginawa sa loob ng DepEd to be able to justify assigning this amount for this kind of activities?
Your Honor, Mr. Chair, I was not aware if there's any.
Yusek, meron, Yusek, Mr. Chair, Yusek,
Mr. Chair, if I may be recognized. Mr. Chair, when the amount was proposed under, I believe, for 2023, no, so 2022 budget, I was still a spokesperson. I was not part of OSEC, so I had no, I cannot give you any information on how the amount was derived, Your Honor.
I think, Mr. Chair, the reason bakit walang makasagot ng direkta kung may empirical basis for assigning funds to these activities is because there is no basis at all. And if we can say that there's no basis and we cannot establish qualified outcomes kasi nga hindi natin ma-justify. Kasi pwede ho natin, ako sa aking pananaw, pwede nating masabi na hindi talaga nangyari yung mga purchase of information, hindi talaga nangyari itong mga confidential activities. At basically, kailangan nating tanungin saan ba talaga napunta yung pera na nilaan for confidential funds. That's all, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Yes, Congresswoman Luistro.
Follow-up question for Yusek Mempin. Yusek, as shared earlier, it was stated by the Vice President during the press con na ang confidential fund po ng DepEd ginamit to obtain information so they could inform the military and the LGU where to hold the youth leadership summits and the information education campaigns. Are you aware, Yusek Mempin, sino po ba itong naging source ng information? Who were the basis of the information given to the military and the LGU?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, I have no personal knowledge as to the person or groups of person that provided the information.
I understand, Yusek Mempin, that prior to your appointment as Yusek for Administration, you were hired as consultant for security services. Tama po ba?
That's correct, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
And I am inclined to believe that for concerns pertaining to security, kayo po yun. Was there never an instance that you were consulted as to the possible source of information?
Your Honor, Mr. Chair, my role as consultant on security matters is, as also mentioned by Yusek Rebsi, is coordinating and collaborating with other security sector as to the status of their intelligence collections and their efforts with regards to the protection of youth, particularly children.
Let us be very specific, Yusek Mempin, as to the possible sources of confidential information to be provided to the military and to the LGU. Kayo po ba ay may nalalaman dito?
Personally, I have no direct information.
Kung wala po kayong nalalaman dito, Yusek Mempin, then who among the officials of the DepEd has knowledge about the sources of information?
Personally, ma'am, I don't have, because as also I'm in my capacity as USEC for administration, I was not, in terms of particularly National Task Force LCAC, I was not the one representing DepEd and other security cluster. I am only member of the or requested to represent the secretary in the Anti-Terrorism Council, which is more on the extreme terrorism and the extremism.
In other words, Yusek Mempin, you have no knowledge at all about the sources of this confidential information.
That's correct, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
During the last hearing, you testified that you were the one who requested for the certification of the 4 AFP officials. You confirm this?
That's, yes, I confirm, Your Honor, Mr.
This
Chair.
include Officer Manaros Boransing, Officer Carlos Sangdaan, Officer Magtanggol Panopio, and Officer Adonis Bahaw. You confirm?
Yes, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
Would you know, for the record, that the reason why the YLS and IECs that were conducted and to which these officers issued certification were result of the information that was given by DepEd? Nalalaman niyo po ba kung ang dahilan kung bakit nagkaroon ng YLS as certified by Boransing, Sangdaan, Panopio, and Bahaw ay ang mga impormasyon na na-obtain ng DepEd at ibinigay sa AFP?
I have no personal direct information that the information directly came from the Department of Education, but because in their certification is stated that the information gathered from the DepEd, LGU, and even Philippine National Police and some from the PDEA, ma'am.
If you are the one coordinating with these 4 AFP officers who issued the certification, and you have no knowledge at all about the connection of the source of information and the recipient of the YLS, is it a reasonable conclusion na wala naman po talagang information na na-provide sa AFP? Reason kung bakit nagkaroon ng YLS? Yes or no, Yusek?
May I be clarified question, ma'am?
If you are the one coordinating with these officers, you and you alone coordinating with these officers who issued the certification on the conduct of YLS, and you're telling us wala kayong alam dun sa confidential information which are supposed to be the basis of the conduct of the YLS, would you agree with me if I would say wala naman talagang impormasyon na na-provide sa AFP? Because as a matter of fact, Yusek Mempin, during the last hearing, all these 4 officers testified that this YLS is part of the regular program. Do you agree? Yes or no?
Yes, I agree that it is a activity of the armed forces.
Yes, you agree that this is part of the regular activity of AFP with or without DepEd. The AFP regularly conducts YLS. Tama po ba?
That's correct, Your Honor.
And
Mr.
with
Chair.
regards to the information which are supposed to be provided by the DepEd to the AFP for the conduct of YLS, do you agree as well? Wala talagang information na na-provide? Yes or no?
I don't have the exact information whether they have the information directly coming from DepEd.
Yusek Mempin, you are the lone official of the DepEd coordinating with these 4 officers of AFP.
May I be allowed to elaborate further? Because I also, during my stint as commander in the field. We also conducted the Youth Leadership Summit during my battalion commander, brigade commander, and even division commander.
You
Uh,
were still with the AFP during the time.
yes,
Because that is consistent with your prior testimony and even of the rest of the AFP officers that YLS is part of the regular activity with or without DepEd. AFP conducts YLS. Tama po ba?
that's correct, Your Honor, Mr. Chair.
So what is your answer now? May information po bang na-provide?
Ma'am, as again, I have no knowledge if they have direct information or not.
I therefore conclude, Yusek Mempin, that no information was provided by DepEd to AFP. This is based on the fact that you're the lone DepEd official who are coordinating with these officers. And if you yourself has no knowledge at all, then who else will have a knowledge in DepEd? Mr. Chair, I wish to raise a few questions with Ms. Catalan. Ma'am,
Ms. Catalan, you are recognized.
Yes, yes, Your Honor.
what made you decide to disclose the information to the committee that you received 9 envelopes?
I was just being honest because the Honorable Chair has asked me.
But what were you thinking when this question was raised? Were you thinking that it will incriminate you into an offense or crime? Or were you thinking that it is just okay to disclose because you honestly believe that the same came from the personal money of the Vice President?
As I mentioned earlier, I was made to understand that the money came personally from the secretary.
Ano po bang diferensya o pagkakaiba, Ms. Catalan? Kung yun po bang pera ay galing sa confidential fund at kung yung pera ay galing sa personal na pera ng Vice President, may diferensya po ba yun?
Yes, ma'am. Kasi nga kaya ko siya tinanong nung una, is this part of the confidential fund? And I was made to understand na no.
From your personal standpoint, ma'am, kung yun po ba ay galing sa confidential fund, what therefore is the issue?
I could have said, I could have refused to ask.
Why, ma'am? Bakit mo i-refuse kung galing siya sa confidential fund?
Kasi po, may nababalitaan na kasi ako na pag confidential medyo may problema. So,
and yet you conformed to sign the liquidation. In spite of the knowledge that there are issues surrounding already confidential fund. Tama po ba?
I signed the liquidation voucher or liquidation report because it should be part of the liquidation documents
Yes,
that
I
should be
understand.
submitted.
But that is a confidential fund. Liquidation of confidential fund. Tama po ba?
Yes, Your Honor.
So ano po bang iniisip nyo na issue kung yung perang napabigay sa inyo ay galing sa confidential fund?
That could be subjected to post-audit.
That's all?
Yes, Your Honor.
Eh kung ito naman pong perang ito'y galing sa personal money ni Vice President, what will be the issue?
Sir, Your Honor, wala po kasi personal money naman po na yun.
That's what you believe.
Yes, Your Honor.
How long have you been in the government?
I've been in the government for 36 years.
36 years.
Yes, Your Honor.
If that money is part of the confidential fund, then you will be implicated for a possible case of malversation. But if that money is part of the personal money of the Vice President, please understand that the mere act of receiving money, you being in the government, already constitute a violation of the law. And this is provided under Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act, Republic Act 3019, paragraph 3B, receiving of gifts. The same is true with respect to Republic Act number 6713, Code of Conduct and Ethical Standards, Section 7, receiving of gifts. and ultimately PD 46, prohibiting the giving and receiving of gifts to public officials and employees. I hope you understand that, ma'am.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, yes.
Yes,
Just a
Congressman
few.
Sia.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just a few questions I'd like to ask. Maybe I can direct my questions to Attorney Hua. Apart from your service to the Vice President as a spokesperson, you were once her Chief of Staff, right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Attorney
You were-
Poa.
Mr. Chair, sorry. Mr.
Yes,
Chair,
you were
yes,
Chief
Your
of
Honor, that's
Staff
correct.
when she was the Secretary of DepEd.
For a time, not for the entire duration, Your Honor, but on the latter time. I started April 2023, Your Honor.
Up to when? What
Until
time did
July
you?
19 when she resigned.
So,
from
a portion of the discussion of the confidential funds, when it was brought out in the open, you were then still the
Yes,
Chief
Your
of Staff of the Vice President when
Yes,
she
Your
was also still the Secretary of DepEd.
Yes, Your
right?
Honor. Mr. Chair.
You heard about the testimonies of your fellow guests here, right? And they were mentioned about the sobre and the gifts. And I'm just wondering, uh, was there any point in time that such bigayan sobre was when it was happening? What as a chief of staff, I presume that part of your job is the in and outs of the office of the vice president, any memoranda, etc. I would just like to know, Mr. Chair.
Well,
To your knowledge, do you have any, or would you know, for example, that such gifts are being given? Let presume, no, assuming without conceding that there's in fact given, no, out of the good heart, no. Was there any point in time that you were made to also understand that this may be a regular process that the vice president is really giving out gifts to sobre to the employees of the Fed?
Mr. Chair.
Where were you when all of this are
Yeah.
happening?
Mr. Chair, again, I'm under oath. Hindi ko po alam na may ganyang pupunta sa office, binibigyan ng envelope. Perhaps I need to contextualize and give you an idea of the working relationship back in DepEd then. In DepEd, I think anyone who's worked with the Vice President would know that the way she does things, it's highly compartmentalized. No? So, for example, I may be in the same office as my ASEC, who was then ASEC Paharda, but we had totally separate duties. So what does that mean? It means that she takes care of the OSEC proper because she was already HEYA even before I came in as Chief of Staff. She was already HEYA. No? So when I came in as Chief of Staff, the duties that were assigned to me was basically the day-to-day of DepEd. So meaning I would hold cluster meetings with the USECs on a weekly basis. My primary marching order was to deliver on the Matatag agenda. And perhaps looking at it now in a very direct manner, perhaps that's also why I was never really briefed on how confidential funds were being operationalized, on how perhaps that's why even when I came in as Chief of Staff, I was not made STO or signatory or anything. The only time I can honestly say that I encountered uh, looking into the reports of confidential funds was when we were already issued an AOM. And at that time, I was also not just Chief of Staff, but I was OIC Finance. And so it was within my purview to address and respond to the AOM. I know it is very hard to maybe fathom or imagine na bakit hindi mo alam tong mga ganito. But I think anyone in DepEd and my DepEd family is here, they would know how compartmentalized we were at that time. In fact, coming into these congressional hearings, and to be very honest with you, sir, Mr. Chair, kung pwede ko lang sagutin yung confidential funds, Your Honor, gusto ko na sagutin. Kasi I've been defending DepEd since day one as the spokesperson in July 2022. So to be honest, if I could just defend DepEd now, defend the Vice President even, I would. But that's why I came here. When they ask me anything, minsan sabihin pa nga sa akin, why did you admit? Why did you? But that's the truth. And I just want to be here and tell the truth. Ngayon, pag hindi ko talaga alam, I would say hindi ko talaga alam. And
Okay.
sorry for the long.
Yes, I'll give you that. I'll give you that. Let me ask Ms. Catalan. Ms. Catalan, when this sobre, when these envelopes were given to you, was it? Did you also? Was it? Were you made also understand that this is done in secretly, or is just magandang ano lang? It's a regular binibigay lang na parang allowance lang, pang gift lang, or may impression ba na wag mong sabihin, sa'yo na muna ito, or ganon?
Wala po, Your Honor.
So, ibig sabihin, talagang hindi siya sinesekreto.
Basta, Your Honor, papatawag ka lang sa office.
Papatawag ka sa office. Pero, alam mo na hindi lang ikaw yung nakakatanggap.
I'm not aware, Your Honor.
But you are aware that there are also others who may also be receiving the same allowances, as you may call it.
Siguro nasa isip ko lang na I'm not the only one, pero I didn't bother to know kung sino pa, or I didn't, because I was discreet lang siya.
So discreet siya.
Opo.
So ibig sabihin, there was never any instance where ka-close mo sa opisina, nagsabi rin na, uy, naka-receive din ako ng the same.
Wala po, Your Honor.
So it was done secretly. Would you say so?
Discreet nga lang po siguro kasi wala akong alam, Your Honor.
Okay, sige. So, ibig sabihin, Mr. Chair, I'd like to, again, follow up your question. Gusto ko lang malaman, no? So, you said that your task really is being compartmentalized, that you have never any way of knowing that this, is that what you're trying to make this committee understand, that as a Chief of Staff, there was never any moment or any, like for example, any instance where there was really that information or knowledge, kasi taking from the explanation of Ms. Catalan, allowance to, it's not something irregular. Parang ganun yung pagkaintindi niya eh. Hindi naman siya dapat sekreto or although discreetly binibigay sa kanya pero ang understanding niya is galing pala sa personal money ni Vice President. So hindi dapat siya sekreto. So are you telling this committee that in the span of your tenure as a Chief of Staff, you have never heard anybody, or at least with your co-workers, saying that there's an allowance from the good heart of the Vice President giving out for these employees?
Mr. Chair, if there was,
Please continue.
if there was an instance, Your Honor, that I would say maybe pumasok sa utak ko na may nabigyan, it was probably nung 2022 December, because it was meant to be parang a Christmas, no?
Yeah, but that's already, sabi ni Ms. Catalan, is that's regular bonuses. But we're talking about these,
But throughout the envelopes, I can honestly say walang ibang USEC or Ms. Runa. I can honestly say I just found out today also. So walang ganyang usapan eh. Hindi nagkakaroon walang lumapit sa akin na nagtanong man lang kung ako ba may natanggap, or them narrating to me na sila may natanggap sila. To be perfectly honest with you, wala talaga akong narinig.
As a Chief of Staff, it's to me, as a Chief of Staff, because you're appointed as a Chief, so big sabihin, trust and confidence is everything, di ba? Kasi ikaw, before it reaches your principal, everything should be, everything should be a course through as a Chief of Staff through you, no? It's for me personally, Mr. Chair, I find it very hard to understand. Although I'm not trying to debunk your statement here, Attorney Pua, but to me, we all are government employees, and we know how the administrative processes have been going. So, it's for me personally, I think it's kind of difficult for you not to be able to understand and at least have a grasp on what is happening inside your office, knowing that you are not only the Chief of Staff, but you're also the spokesperson for the Department of Education, Mr. Chair. And though you may not know, but a lot of your co-workers in the department, co-employees in the department have already come out saying the same thing. But if we use the same argument or the statement of Ms. Catalan, na discrete pinamimigay, ilan yung lumabas na? Ibig sabihin, kung apat na ba sila, Mr. Chair, o 5? Apat yung lumabas, the same testimony saying that they have received envelopes. Ibig sabihin, kung discreetly, kung the same manner of releasing, ibig sabihin there's no way for them to really make up some stories. But they came out with the same narrative and the same stories. Yun lang yung gusto kong ipaintindi, no? Mr. Chair. Do you have what's your thought on that?
Mr. Chair, may I respond? I respect your view, sir. Like I mentioned earlier, Mr. Chair and Honorable Congressman, if I were in your shoes, I would also find it hard to believe, di ba? And that's why I had to put it in context, no? I did not know the Vice President till the day I was hired as her spokesperson in July. I wasn't with her prior. So perhaps there are things that's why I said it was compartmentalized. Perhaps there were things that are not shared with everyone, are not shared with me, are shared with me, but are not shared with others either. Perhaps that's the only way I can even fathom it, no? But definitely operationally, which means policy, which means whatever happens in DepEd, I can honestly say that really goes through me. But on why they are naming Asek Sunshine as the one giving the envelope, I really do not know. And even if you were to ask me now, I wouldn't even dare
What's
ask.
the ano? What's the task of Attorney Sunshine pala, if I may ask?
As far as I know, she was the head EA even before I joined DepEd, Your Honor. So in fact, she was the one who interviewed me when I applied for DepEd. And then my last interview was the Vice President, and that was the day that I met the Vice President for the first time when I was offered the job of spokesperson. And I remained to be a spokesperson from July 2022 to around April 2023. So just to give you a background on all this, because I can definitely understand, Your Honor, the sentiments of the good congressman on parang medyo weird, no? Chief of staff ka, bakit di mo alam ang lahat nangyayari? In fact, it's a bit embarrassing for me to also admit na hindi ko alam lahat ng nangyayari. But it's really the way it is. Things are compartmentalized even from day one. So even as spokesperson, when may balita and I need to get to an interview, honestly, I have to message with the Vice President at that time to find out every time on what she wants me to say during the interview. At least just to give you a picture, Your Honor, on how it was.
Okay, thank you. Just I guess manifestation in closing, Mr. Chair. Narinig naman natin ilan yung lumabas na po dito sa committee na the same yung kanilang sinabi na naka-receive po sila ng envelopes, no? At hindi ho nila ma-explain kung saan lang gagaling itong mga envelopes na ito. May iba sinasabi gift, may isa sinasabi it's a form of persuasion, but whatever they call it, it's something irregular. It does not happen regularly. Pangalawa, yung apat na po, kung tatanungin sa katanungan, sa kasagutan po ni Ms. Catalan, ang sabi po niya, tinatawagan po sila individually, binibigay sa kanila. I think the same story also we've heard from the rest of our invitees who said also the same thing, no? Ibig sabihin po, hindi na pinag-uusapan itong apat na ito, hindi na napag-usapan, meaning to say they've done the individual na binibigay sa kanila. So it's impossible for these individuals who came out saying the same thing to make up stories na pare-pareho po ang kanilang sinasabi. Ang point ko lang po dito, Mr. Chair, is if it's done discreetly, secretly, there's something really the act really in the giving out of these stories must be really in question, Mr. Chair. Yun lang pong aking manifestation, Mr. Chair, at marami pong salamat. Thank you, Attorney Pua, for giving us a background.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Congressman Akop, you're recognized.